this debate.
The question now is that the amendment be agreed to. I call the member for Fadden.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. This is a complete and utter joke. Trying to keep track of the amendments being rushed in, 3 lots in 3 days, another series of amendments only 1 hour ago, as this government responds to an online campaign, as it knee-jerks, as it moves away from policy settings because of Twitter, Facebook and email. This is no longer a debate about sustainable fisheries management, about quota management, about how commercial fishing operates. This is now a fight and a debate about Labor and what they believe. All was apparently going well until the member for Fremantle decided to put a private member's bill through, and then Kevin turned up. The dear old member for Griffith decided to support the member for Fremantle, and now we have a farce of the highest order. Now we have the live cattle trade disaster operating on the water. Be under no doubt the coalition supports sustainable fisheries management and sustainable fisheries practice. We stand for sustainability, and it seems like we're the only party who actually does have a view on a disciplined approach to sustainable management of our fish stocks. It seems like we're the only party who stands up for recreational fishers. The government is in a mess on this, and it is a mess of their entire making. It's a mess now that involves leadership of the highest order of foreign countries as they seek to understand the level of sovereign risk this government has again put into our economy. It is policy on the run. This government is making it up as they go along. 3 sets of amendments on their legislation formed on the back of a Twitter campaign after years and years of negotiation. If that is not making it up as it goes along, give me another definition. If you have spent years formulating a policy position that you then junk, and on top of your junked position you add amendment after amendment after amendment, if that is not making it up as it goes along, can someone please tell me what it is? Because I don't believe the Labor government actually knows what it wants to achieve. It certainly wants to achieve the stopping of the rise of St Kevin. It certainly wants to achieve appeasing a narrow interest set of Greens, whose vote is now collapsing across the country, but whose vote is crucial to keeping this government in power. This debate and these farcical series of multiple amendments is not about sustainable fisheries. It's about the government sustaining itself. It's policy on the run. History is always instructive. It gives us a lesson from where we have come. And history, in this case, frowns deeply upon this government that is making it up as they go. Tony Burke, as the Minister for Fisheries, he created this issue. He was the inception of this issue, because he invited these larger-type vessels as part of his 2009 small pelagic fishery harvest strategy. His strategy, his invitation. He said on the matter, and I'll quote it because it's instructive, the Minister for Fisheries, a cabinet minister of the government, said there are considerable economies of scale in the fishery and the most efficient way to fish may include large-scale factory freezer vessels. That's what he said. It may include large-scale factory freezer vessels, vessels such as the Able Tasman that this government is now going into hyperdrive and overdrive to try and stop. But then again, Peter Garrett had it right, member for Kingsford Smith, in 2007, when he famously said, "When we get in, we'll just change it all." I don't think even he envisaged the degree of change this hapless and hopeless government is inflicting itself on a daily basis, and looking at the series of amendments coming through on an hourly basis. On the 23rd of August, you had Senator Ludwig, the current Minister for Fisheries, criticising the Greens for wanting fisheries managed by politics. He promised, Minister Ludwig, that famous minister responsible for taking food away from the Indonesians by banning the live cattle export, destroying an industry, displacing thousands of workers, including 600 Aboriginal workers on northern stations. This minister promised that emotive politics would not run fisheries management policy. Well, if years of work, followed by a Twitter campaign, and now rushed bills, 3 sets of amendments, proposed private members' bills and a government in chaos, if that's not emotive policy, can someone please tell me what is? The current minister promised no emotive policies. What is more, he supported the ability of the Australian Fisheries Management Authority to make independent decisions based on science to ensure the sustainability of Australia's fisheries. Yet here we are debating a Labor bill slapped together on the back of a beer coaster, probably the same beer coaster this hapless minister put together the cancelling of the live export trade to take food away from our most important neighbour, Indonesia. Here we are debating a Labor bill that has now had 3 lots of amendments, some of them rushed in by none other than the member for Dobell, Craig Thomson, with multiple amendments, and this is what the minister said just 21 days ago. He said he supported the ability of the authority to make independent decisions based on science to ensure the sustainability. Can the government really look the nation in the eye and say the debacle we debate today of a rushed bill with rushed amendments, does that really line up with the government's rhetoric of 21 days ago that they will make independent decisions based on science to ensure sustainability? No wonder people are confused. No wonder people are astonished at what this government is doing. No wonder there is enormous uncertainty in the industry. No wonder we are talking once again about sovereign risk. Labor's policy on the run has again created enormous uncertainty in the industry, enormous uncertainty for those who hold licences to fish in Australian waters, enormous uncertainty for those who lease vessels and seek to bring vessels in or seek to partner with Australian industry. Is it not enough, government, that you have destroyed the live export of cattle? Do you wish to destroy commercial fishing in the same way? Is that your intended aim? Australia's commercial fishing industry cannot have confidence to continue to invest in any quota and/or licence, because this bill and its farcical amendments will allow anything to be overturned at the whim of the government. The Dutch Deputy Prime Minister, Maxime Verhagen, has even telephoned this hapless Joe Ludwig on Tuesday to ask why Labor wanted to ban the Abel Tasman, a ship brought to Australia in a private joint venture after 7 years of negotiation. 7 years of negotiation, 3 years of ministerial strategic discussion, and 1 or 2 days of the nonsense from the Labor government, and here we are. We oppose the legislation, suffice to say, Madam Deputy Speaker. It gives unlimited power to the minister on the basis of social uncertainties, or as one of your 3 amendments actually knocked out the word social and replaced it with commercial, because, frankly, who would know with the level of amendments running through on this hapless bill? It presents enormous risk. There is no indication as to what the term uncertainty means, and provides scope for the minister to stop any fishing activity without any substantive case. The minister could simply wake up in the morning and decide he doesn't feel good about catching small, defenceless fish, and he is going to refer all commercial fishing ventures to get greater scientific input, which will take 2 years, on a whim. I saw a school before, Trinity Lutheran College, great school in my electorate, and as I was walking back from the area there in the Queen's Cafe, I walked past the Magna Carta, signed at Runnymede in 1215, of which we have one of only a few copies there. And I read through the opening paragraphs about the rights under law. Next to the Magna Carta, of course, is the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution. The first 10, of course, comprise their Bill of Rights. But the Fifth Amendment talks about before freedom is taken from you, you have the right to appeal to a court of law. The question is, this bill takes the freedom away from commercial fishers who have in good faith invested in equipment and quotas, who have done all that society has asked of them, and this government comes in on a whim to take it away. I wonder if we were standing in the House of Representatives in the United States of America, whether this bill would survive the Fifth Amendment of the US Constitution. I'm not a lawyer. I'm a former Army officer and businessman. I live in the real, practical world where this is nonsense, where if you tried this on in the business setting, any business relationship would be quickly axed and your services quickly terminated. If I was to take this to the local pub and say, what do you think, team? Does this survive the pub test? To the average Australian, the average reasonable man, is it reasonable that a minister could be able to cancel your livelihood on a whim with no appeal because of a social or other commercial issue? Is that reasonable? And I think the average man and woman would say no. They would question the implied freedom within that. And they would say this is big government going completely and utterly absurd. Our side of politics doesn't believe in big government. We actually believe in individual freedom. We believe you should be free to pursue life, liberty and loves. And if any of those are taken away, then you have the right to the courts. This bill says you have no such rights. It gives unlimited power to the minister on the basis of uncertainty. All fishers will be concerned, no question about it, that these powers can be used against them. This is a cloud over the entire fishing industry. And the issue is no longer about this trawler. And frankly, it's only large because of the fact that it has factory freezing and processing on board. This is about how we do business in Australia. This issue is about how a government governs, whether it takes a long-term, unemotive, scientific and disciplined approach. As the Minister for Fisheries, the Honourable Joe Ludwig, said 21 days ago, just 21 days ago, he criticised the Greens. He said the relevant authority would make independent decisions. He said they'd be based on science. He said it would be about ensuring the sustainability. He said that 21 days ago. Does the man have such a short memory that he can't remember what he said about providing certainty to an industry? Every resource-based industry should be concerned with this decision. And for what? The concerns of one vessel to fish in one place to catch a quota of fish. The quota of fish will be caught. It will be caught anyway. This is not about reducing the amount of fish caught. It will be caught. People who held the quotas that were catch the fish simply got together to hire a larger vessel to be more productive. The government speaks about a productivity agenda. Here you have it in real life. People holding quotas to catch fish have got together to be more productive, and this government, in an act of simply changing their mind from a Twitter campaign, it says no. No, you can't be more productive. You must go back to catching your individual quota. The same number of fish will be caught, except this boat, all the science tells us, will have lower bycatch because of a whole range of inspectors, technologies and cameras on board. The solution could have been to amend the Fisheries Act to allow for move-on provisions or spatial management that would prevent localised impacts. We would have supported these moves. But no. The minister is saying you can't do anything. The minister is saying productivity is off the table. The minister's saying in response to a Twitter campaign, no more. What next? What's the next Twitter campaign? What's the next harebrained scheme to come along that will make this government make it up as it go along? The nation can only wonder.
Thank the honourable member for his contribution. The question is